Have you ever considered the possibility that you might be an odd Sigma male? You know, the kind of guy that manages to do his own thing and thrive in life but doesn't quite fit in with the alpha and beta crowd. In this video, we'll explore 5 indicators that you might be a strange Sigma male. We'll look at some characteristics that make Sigma males special and intriguing, such as your love of isolation and unusual perspectives on relationships and society. Join us for this educational and enjoyable discussion, whether you are already aware of your Sigma inclinations or are just interested in what they entail. Our idea of the Sigma male is one of the most sought, secret, and generally alluring males. Furthermore, it would be best if you comprehended that since the start of humanity, we have been looking for something, which is to figure out who we are. It is quite similar to the person you pick in a computer game, which determines what abilities and capacities you start the game with. The paradigms you relate to as a man permit you to saddle your assets and shortcomings completely. Indeed, this is truly significant for those of you who look for consideration from young ladies. Yet, it's similarly important for us who need to play to our regular assets and keep away from our shortcomings. You need to acknowledge that alpha, omega, beta, sigma, etc. are your idea of paradigms, so they act as a method for improving a bunch of character qualities for a particular kind of man. Presently, many of us endeavor to be more similar to the extremely confident man when simultaneously, our character is fitter than the Sigma. We all can play essentially any model when relying upon the circumstances that we're in. In any case, we have a model we normally relate to more than the others. For some men, the Alpha and the Sigma models come up all the more normally when they're separated from everyone else, with a few young ladies and no different guys inside the gathering. We generally remember that we are not characterized solely by one paradigm, and that our model will rely upon dynamic changes inside our social climate and contingent upon things like who else is around us. The principal sign is that you could be a Sigma male and not even acknowledge it. The first sign could be doing what you might want to do. The independent person mentality is the main sign that separates Sigma from the Alpha, the Omega, and the wide range of male prime examples. So if you're a person who habitually considers himself an independent person, and you like investing energy without anyone else, and you completely appreciate doing whatever you might want to do more often than not, then you could be surprised by a Sigma. Men who relate to these Sigma man characteristics don't depend on others. They couldn't care less about web-based entertainment and broadcasting to the world their own life. And frankly, certain individuals could try and allude to them as mavericks. But instead of seeing this doing whatever you might want to do as a kind of shortcoming, Sigma draws internal strength from not requiring the social approval that others continually look for. As far as fascination, numerous young ladies find this freedom staggeringly alluring. The second sign is the capacity to control a room. However, here's where it gets somewhat secretive. Now, you may be pondering internally that just the extremely confident men overwhelm a room. Yet truly, both the Sigma and the Alpha have some control over essentially any room they stroll into. Yet they do it in various ways. Alphas are notable for ruling the climate they stroll into, utilizing a direct way of behaving. The Sigma accomplishes a similar objective by utilizing strange, calm energy. Presently by and by, the Sigma can play on his normal propensity to mind his own business and pass on to individuals around him a calm, certain strange kind of energy. Individuals in the room are glancing around at the Alpha and the Sigma, and they're considering what about the Sigma gives him close to as much command over the room as the Alpha. At last, they'll understand that the secret makes him so extraordinarily engaging. Something to remember here is that being tranquil and minding your business without showing certainty is simply a crackpot. This strange energy is the flimsy line that the Sigma strolls, and quietness without certainty will place you into the unusual class of men. Third is independence. Something that makes the Sigma male staggeringly special and permits him to play comparable to the Alpha is the capacity to be independent. Individuals worldwide, especially females, find a man who doesn't require anything from anybody staggeringly alluring in light of the fact that most ugly ways of behaving men take part in are brought about by deprivation. Presently relying upon the circumstance, this could be an extreme requirement for approval or consideration, or, in any event, requiring someone to do your clothing for you. So for those of you who have your mothers doing your clothing, there's a decent opportunity that you won't be the best fit for the Sigma engineer. Freedom is inconceivably appealing. Even men find it much simpler to regard different, independent men. In such a case, if you get into a precarious circumstance in life, Sigma is the person who will have you covered, and you will not need to guide him. Being independent means, as a grown-up, having the option to make a few bucks both in a real sense and by and large. In any case, it additionally addresses things like independent person qualities, like drawing your inward strength and inspiration and not requiring extreme approval from others. The fourth one is the capacity to think profoundly. Most Sigma guys will generally think with an extremely scientific psyche, and some would try and agree that they overthink things. Presently, the significant thing to recollect here is that individuals who think as this will more often than not be extremely insightful. So in such a manner, the Sigma male is normally cannier than different models and can keep up with that secretive edge that makes him so unbelievably interesting to others. Set forth plainly, Sigma is the person in the films who's dependably out in front of the troublemakers. And regardless of what gets tossed at him, he generally figures out how to win eventually. The last but not least sign is being defiant. All Sigmas have a clouded side to their significance. They are, to a greater extent, a terrible kid rather than your commonplace individual. And this I couldn't care less and I'm doing whatever it takes not to dazzle anybody mentality makes them considerably more alluring. The Sigma is the person who doesn't cause problems constantly, but who has no issue pushing the limits on what society sees as a satisfactory way of behaving. Moreover, this careful mood separates Sigma from different men and permits him to stick out and be novel. While most others assume the part of the sheep and essentially do what every other person is doing, or everything everyone says to them to do. At the center, Sigma is a thoughtful alpha significance. He has many similar qualities as the alphas, like inward certainty and strength, and yet, he shows these characteristics in a calm, strange manner, as opposed to being clearly and completely direct. At the last, picking the right person class can assist you with dominating a match. Picking the prime example that best accommodates your character can assist you with winning in numerous circumstances. Taking advantage of your natural abilities would be best instead of playing to your shortcomings. It would be best if you comprehended that inside all of us is a specific paradigm that we relate to more than any of the others. By knowing and understanding this prime example, you can play to it and essentially intensify your assets while trying not to focus light on your specific shortcomings. Hands down, one of the most remarkable, uncommon, and appealing prime examples out there is by a wide margin your idea of the Sigma. Many of you will relate to this specific model, and many will not, like a computer game yet. If you need the absolute best at winning, you need to comprehend what specific prime example you distinguish most with and sort out how you can play to that. Such enhances the abilities and qualities that you now have as an individual that you've gotten since you were conceived and all through the encounters you've had in your life. For more of such informative videos, like to subscribe to us.